Welcome back to my little corner of the internet. I am Yorkie the Tail Spinner, welcoming you back to the tale of this whispers of darkness in the lands Galarian. Let's see. When last we left it, after a rather dismal issue or two with the recording, and I apologise for that, we finished in the underground maze and were ready to move on. We had not quite hit level 3, but we were close. So let's go see what else we can see. Hey, wait, mind if I bend your ear about something? And Evia is outside your door, leaning casually against the shelf. So here's the first most important thing. Beth gave you a crucial mission, I get that, and I know you'll get the job done. I saw you in action, but here's the rub. By sending you out on an errand, we're weakening our defenses here. If they come at us while you're gone, I don't know if we'll be able to fight them off. Everything seems clear so far. What else do you wish to discuss? So the rift, that damned beetle left, with its size, yes, well, it cut the city in two. And it's kind of difficult to get across. My scouts tell me there's a halfway decent place to set up a crossing in Market Square. Not that any of them tried to make it, of course. Or tried it to make sure. But if you've got a mind to go across, and I think you're going to have to eventually, you might want to give the square a once-over. You want me to stay here and guard the tavern? You what? No. Your task is far too important. You can't just hole up here, all cozy-like, waiting for the demons. Why not? You are. And you bust your leg. We need to take the fight to them, but if those freaks try to make a move on this place, Beth will send a runner to get you. If that happens, you leg it back here, alright? If you don't, you'll be coming back to an ash pile, got it? When do you think the demons will next attack? Your guess is as good as mine. It might not be here. They could attack the whole damn city. Those vermin know they've lost the upper hand and that we're going to push back hard. If things kick off here, you should know after they attack, some things could change beyond recognition. So if you've got any business that needs taken care of, you should do it soon. Thank you for your warning. And there's Staunton. We need to talk to him about the storyteller. The dwarf resembles an abandoned citadel, one whose high crumbling walls are still holding fast, but whose empty lightless windows make it clear that all inside is dead. Oh, it's you. Good work back there in the grey garrison named Staunton Vane. If you've heard rumours about me, his face, which looks like it has never known anything as carefree as a smile grimaces. Just so you know, everything people say about me is true. I need to talk to the elf who calls himself the storyteller. Do you know where I can find him? The storyteller? Staunton strokes his beard in thought. A strange old fellow, that one. He used to sit with me for hours, talking, asking about all sorts of things. He never offered judgment or comfort, he just listened. At first, I wanted him and his questions as far away from me as possible. But later I realized that talking to him did ease the burden a little. I hope he is alive and well. He's completely blind and feeble too. So if he's alone in the city, well, you probably know what that means. I do know one place he might be. Look for him in the Blackwing. It's a library, here. I'll show you where it is on the map. I don't know what use a library is to a blind elf, but he loved the place. He would sit there day and night. Blackwing Library revealed. What do people say about you? They say I'm a traitor, as bad as Arilu Vorlesh, that I'm a disgrace even among the ranks of the condemned, that Queen Galfrey should never have spared me. I belong on the gallows. Why do they hate you so much? You really don't know, only the things Minago has said. Staunton gives you a long, morose look, then sighs. I'm the reason why the Crusade forces are holed up in a fortress on the edge of the Whirlwood, instead of bringing the fight to the demons. We used to have a foothold in the wound, The mighty, unassailable city of Dresden. We used to have it until it fell, and all because of my stupidity. I gave the enemy our main citadel. I was tried. They wanted to execute me, and rightly so. But the Queen intervened. She said that I should live and fight in order to undo what I had done. So that's how I live. Decade after decade fighting in the condemned. The dwarf shrugs. As you can see, I have fixed nothing, and I have earned no one's forgiveness. Are you going to spit in my face too? It wouldn't surprise me. You keep living and fighting with no hope of anything better because that's what the Queen ordered you to do? There is honour in that. I can leave him with a shred of dignity. I feel like spitting in his face for all he's done, but no. That's petty. You may be right, but you know even stone and iron get worn down over time. I know what it means to live a regimented life, but I cannot rely on my discipline alone forever. I pray to Torag, and though he does not listen, that my body breaks before my conscience does. You performed a lawful action. A whole city fell because of you. How is that possible? What do you mean, how? The knight glares at you from beneath his furrowed brows. If you don't trust the word of a condemned, go ask somebody else, like my little brother Joran. And if you still don't believe it, what's it to me? But if you're about to ask me to recount the story of my disgrace for the 1000th time, don't. You really don't have any friends? I couldn't have survived this long if I was completely alone. Joran, my little brother, he keeps me going. He's never condemned me. Everyone else shies away from me like they might catch what I've got. Even fighters in the condemned console themselves by thinking, I got stripped of my rank, but at least I'm not Staunton. Commander Tirabade seems to be the only person in the whole army who remembers that I'm a soldier and not a drudge. She has no qualms about taking me into battle. She's had some mud flung at her in the past, or so I hear. That's why she tries to keep an open mind about people. It's no surprise she's the one to hold on to her sense of reason in this farce. So many years in the condemned, surely you've played your penance by now? That's not up to me to decide. My life is in the Queen's hands. He falls silent for a moment, and then a trembling voice he adds, The condemned isn't the worst part. All these years I've prayed to Torag for forgiveness. Countless times I've gone to his priests, countless times I've kneeled before his altar. If only the father of dwarven kind would answer my prayers just once. Not to restore what I've lost, but just to tell me that I am still one of his children. But it seems he doesn't give a damn about me. What can I expect from mere mortals when my own god doesn't think I deserve redemption? Forget about Torag. That's just rubbing salt in the wound. The gods don't care about us. You don't deserve our prayers. Well, she is an atheist. That is what she says. An atheist can't understand how it feels when your god renounces you. Just as one who's never loved can never understand how it feels when your beloved betrays you. I have to go. Go on then. Maybe we'll see each other again. Vasily Radimus. A stout old man with a fuzzy grey beard mumbles a prayer. He looks as tired as everyone else in this tavern, but determination is stamped on his haggard face. What can I do for you? Who are you? Vasily Radimus, rector of the local temple of Abadar. The temple is gone, though, and if we snooze here much longer, the city will be lost as well. Who is that boy with you? This one? Giardo, the shepherd, my apprentice. He's a smart boy, and his faith is strong. He serves Era still, though, but there's still something he can learn from an old servant of Abadar. He'll be a great cleric when he gets a little older. What kind of help can I expect from you? First, I sell scrolls. I have a lot of them. Something for every emergency. Second, While you're here in the tavern, I can read one for you. Guaranteed, no surprises. But you'd better not go into the city without a cleric. I won't be going there myself. I'm too old, and my powers are needed here. Show me the scrolls you're selling. No, I don't need them. Well, yes, let's just have them for now. Just so we've cleared that option. And then we're gone. Wendwag, sweet Wendwag. Submissive, sweet Wendwag. Wendwag's tense stance reveals her constant vigilance. Her eyes are focused and resolute. Noticing you, she lets you speak first, bowing respectfully. Mistress. I'm at your service. I want to know more about you. The on-the-ground warrior looks flattered, raising her chin proudly. You can ask me anything, mistress. What do you think of life on the surface? Wendwag scoffs arrogantly. Life among the uplanders, you mean? Your customs are strange. The huntress casts a glance at you and corrects herself quickly. I mean theirs, not yours, mistress. You are strong and clever. But I look at the other uplanders and wonder, have you seen how proud they are of their weakness? Look, my hands are so soft, I've never done anything with them in my entire life. Because noble blood runs through my veins. What does it matter who someone's parents are? I'm the daughter of a former chief of the tribe, so what? Is this what they respect and fear me for? Skull became the chief because he was old, experienced, and smart. After him, I might become chief because I'm strong and even smarter. These weaklings wouldn't have lasted a day in our caves. Wendwag's eyes narrow wearily. Everything is strange here, but it's all right, mistress. We'll put things right, won't we? Tell me about your life in the caves. Life was better than an uplander might think. You're surrounded by rock on all sides. It's sturdy, dependable. Hide in a crack, you know for sure you're safe. Not like here. All this empty space around you. You always have to be on guard. In case an arrow flies from any direction and hits you. Life on the ground is calmer somehow. Sure, there is less food in the caves than here. But the amount of food the uplanders have, it's too much. Don't you see, mistress? How many fat uplanders there are? Why do they eat so much, like cattle fattened up to make for a tastier meat? We only had one fat person in our tribe, and that was Sol, and he was only fat because he was old. But up here, everything just seems fairer in the caves. When there isn't enough food for the weak, they die. The lazy die, the sick, in the head and the body, die. And the strong and the skilled survive. The blood becomes thicker, tougher. What happened between you and Lan? Wendwag shrugs disdainfully. He is a good hunter, but not too clever. A bit of an idiot, really. He was the strongest in the tribe after me, and that's why I kept him close. His heart is soft, unlike his body. The huntress smiles shamelessly. But then I met you, and I didn't need Lan anymore. Now I only want to hunt with you. I can tell you're proud of your strength. Wendwag shrugs her shoulders back proudly, of course. Let everyone see who is standing before them. The weak must obey the strong if they don't want to be reminded of their place. Even when I was a snot-nosed little cave rat, I could bring neithers twice my age to heal, because I fear nothing and no one, pain least of all. I was showered with praise and compliments. The best hunters of other tribes wanted me, but what did that matter to me? The moment you start listening to flatteries, the moment you get soft, die. No. I always pushed myself further, challenging myself, taking myself to the very edge. Many times I almost died, but I always came back stronger. I earned all my strength on my own, and if anyone didn't respect that, I just grabbed my knife. That's why I became the best hunter in the tribe. And so Noir listens to her submissive little supplicant and gains some respect. On the surface, your people are called mongrels, but I take it you don't like that term. The huntress shrugs her shoulders. Let the uplanders call us what they want, it doesn't matter. I know what they're trying to do. By giving us that stupid nickname, they are asserting their status and superiority over us. But it's normal to try and dominate a stranger you just met. That's expected. When my kin conquer the lands on the surface, people will call us by whatever name we choose. Why do you serve me? Wendwag gives you a bland smile. Because you are winning. I want to be with a winner. I don't like sharing food and fire with weaklings. I prefer people like you. And because being close to you is a good way to live. I love life, I'm young and strong. It makes sense to eat, drink, screw, and kill enemies while you are young. Not when you are 30,000 gongs old and shriveled up like a soul. It makes sense both ways, Wendwag. Let me show you as we age. As long as I'm your servant, I can have fun, as I like, and order around anyone I want to. Who will dare defy me? No one. Her eyes drift half-closed in smoke satisfaction. Kill for me and you will get everything you've been dreaming of. Wendwag shoots a feral grin. It's good we understand each other, mistress. As we need to say, we hunt in the same cave. Formed a new faction. Everything is clear to me now. Let's talk about you serving Hazilla. Uncertainty sparks in Wendwag's eyes as she curls her spider legs on her back closer to her body. Of course, mistress, but now I only serve you. Has someone said something about me? What did you do for the demons? I brought my kin to their lair so they could join the demon army and accept the power given to them. I made my tribe stronger. Later, once we had no longer needed the demons, my powerful kin would have fought for me. The huntress shoots you a grim and bloodthirsty grin. Of course she's not ashamed. But we'll ask, are you ashamed of betraying your kin? Wendwag replies respectfully but defiantly, I know that Sol would have called me a traitor, but for only one reason. He grew old and cowardly. I accepted the same fate as my fellow tribesmen. I ate the flesh too, and for many gongs I thrashed with fever, growling like an animal, lunging at anyone and everyone, my body burning from the inside. So you didn't escape the same fate as the others. It's just they were killed before they recovered. But I handled it because I was the strongest of them all. Not a single day I have regretted the power I gained, and that's why I'm not ashamed of sharing the power with my tribe. Why did you decide to switch allegiance? I was only serving the demons because they promised me power, and only for as long as they had something to offer me. Wendwag chuckles, revealing her sharp teeth. But Hazilla can't offer me anything now she's dead, and I was never going to risk my life for her. You are a true leader, one worth following, the huntress says with a fawning tone. How can I trust you? Wendwag's voice gains a fervent edge. Why would I betray you, mistress? You are the strongest. It would be stupid to defect to your enemies and die along with them. No, I'm not that dumb. No more questions. Please stop grovelling. Wendwag shakes her head. I'm not grovelling. I'm showing respect for your power. This is exactly the way the weak should behave in the presence of the strong. You promised me an army of mongrels. Wendwag narrows her cat-like eyes, and I will give you one, mistress. But first we have to rebuff the attack on the city. Sol has spent his entire life preparing for Underground Crusader return to this. And he's not going to take any risks. He will order the tribes to hide in the caves like rats, and he will decide whether they are strong enough to fight side by side with us. Maybe he will decide that it's better to sit this one out and wait for another chance to come along. We have to fend off the demons, win glorious victory, and show Sol that ours, not a lost cause. Then he will give us his warriors, and then it will be my job to turn them into real soldiers. That's it for now. The huntress gazes at you with devotion. Thank you for talking to me, mistress. And we have Camellia. Many tavern tales to unfold. Camellia looks at you over pensively, toying with the snake-shaped bone amulet that dangles from her pale neck. Noticing your glance, she flashes you a cold, barely there smile. Greetings. It seems for a moment that the girl wants to say something else, but the pause grows too long and she slips back into cautious silence. Tell me about yourself, Camellia. You want to know more about me than you already do? Why? Camellia arches her dainty brow. I talk to the spirits of this tormented land, and they guide me in battle. I'll help you fight the demons, and I swear that you can rely on me in this matter. Isn't that sufficient? Where did you learn to wield a rapier so well? I had good teachers, although they don't get all the credit. I am most diligent student. Amelia licks her parched lips. Your amulet is quite unusual. Where did you get it? Ah, my little trinket. It's so nice of you to notice, but I assure you this amulet is nothing but a bauble. Can a lady not be drawn to a beautiful, useless thing? Anyway, as much as I enjoy our delightful conversations, the spirits are calling me. I must respond. Please excuse me. Amelia turns away, watching you out of the corner of her eye. Your speech tells me you're of noble birth. Amelia laughs, a practiced musical laugh, as she watches you from under the lowered lashes. You're most insightful, a fine quality to have. Amelia's laughter ends, and unspoken words hang in silence. Still, I believe that being of noble birth does not give anyone the right to look down on others. Forgive me if my questions disturb you. I couldn't resist such a noble and beautiful lady. I'll stop bothering you immediately if talking to me upsets you. Not at all. Our conversation is an exquisite delight. Amelia affords you a brief, friendly smile in appreciation of your manners. I have to go. We'll talk later. I won't keep you. The dawning smile on Camelia's face freezes and quickly dies away. August Worm. Here, take this. Yes, it's 2,000 coins. Take your payment and remember that August Worm always keeps his word. It helped me get back to the surface, and I duly paid you for escorting me. Now speak of our future cooperation. August looks at you with unvarnished disapproval. His arms folded across his chest, his foot tapping impatiently. I have a job that would be perfect for someone like you. Naturally, I'll pay generous for your service. So what does this job involve? You shall be my bodyguard, and I shall be your long-lost pal. No. You see, I have good reason to return to my mansion here in Canabres. I still have... Well, it doesn't matter. It's none of your business. My mansion is a breathtaking building with a large garden in the wealthy part of the city. Even before the demons attacked it, every thief and fraudster in the city had tried to get inside one way or another. I shudder to imagine the state it's in now. I have little hope that my guards were able to hold the mansion during the attack, and I expect that the servants fled when they saw the demons. Only Abaddon knows what's happened there since. Therefore, I would like you to meet me at the mansion and guard me there until I complete my business. I already asked the local paladins for help, but they've no desire to set foot outside this tavern. Damn cowards and traitors, that's what they are. Also, please do take Camellia with you. I trust that girl more than the rest of your gang. She is of noble birth, after all. What kind of reward are we talking about? 1,000 gold, August replied without hesitation. Double the reward, and I'll think about it. Several tense moments pass in silence, then August's face relaxes. Deal? Perfect D20. Natural 20. Deal. Marvelous, most excellent. August's face relaxes, smoothing a few of the tense lines. I'll proceed to my mansion at once and wait for you there. Meanwhile, you needn't worry. I know the city like the back of my hand, but do hurry. Unless you want me to lower your reward. Worm's mansion has been revealed. Gemmill. A strange figure towers over the bar. A huge, ungainly man with skin so milky white that his blue veins are visible even from this distance. His bald head is equal parts lumpy and pitted, and blood-filled eyes stare impassively at you from beneath the pale brows. The glass in the albino's face, large clumsy hands, looks dangerously delicate, as if one twitch of those callous fingers would be enough to crush it. A gold medallion engraved with a tankard gleams around his neck. What'll it be? Who are you? Or religion past? The medallion you're wearing, that's a sacred symbol, isn't it? Are you a cleric of Caden Helene? I'm a tavern keeper, best in the city, the best there's ever been, and I pray to the best god there is. Who are you? The albino quickly takes your measure with his red eyes, and finally, with a gentle sigh, says, Gemel Hawks, vampire. Are you really a vampire? Gemel gives you a long look of reproach and then grudgingly answers, no. How did you end up in the Crusader city? How did anyone end up here? How did you, or them? With a huge hand, the tavern keeper gestures at the ragtag group assembled in the room. The world is big, but there isn't a place for everyone. People who no longer have a life anywhere else, they end up here. Any news in the city? No. Sorry, had to stop a dog barking. Any news in the city? Are there... The albino looks around. There are demons everywhere, and you showed up. Are there any places in the city worth visiting? If you mean places that normal people usually stay well away from, then there are plenty. Like the Pitaxian wine cellar. Emil pauses for effect, like the name of the place alone should make you quiver in fear. It once belonged to a Pitaxian... Oh, it's been added. It once belonged to a Pitaxian trading house. Then King of Ireveta came to power in Pitax, and property started changing hands. Soon after, the seller's shop assistant was found in a ditch. Not all of him, mind, just his head. Merian gangsters had taken possession of the place. They wanted to sell something stronger than wine on the street, and they ended up on the gallows. Then King Ireveta's number was up. So now the store stands empty and unclaimed. People say that a headless ghost wanders the place at night, moaning ghoulishly. Ooh. After coming to the end of this story, unusually long by his standards, the tavern keeper takes a swig from his tankard. Just don't ask me how he makes any noise with his head. I wasn't there, Oh, with no head. I just like to tell it. I heard it. I see you're not one for talking. Gemel gives you a long, mournful look and says nothing. Show me what you have. Right. I think we can get rid of masterwork as well. Everything else should be fine. It's Marching Terror. Old Iron Masterwork Dueling Sword. None of us use that. Old Iron Masterwork Javelin. None of us use that. Ah, we're up a level. Before we go further, though, you can use Marching Terror, can't you? Whenever this +1 to its magical glaive lands a hit on an enemy, for the first time, the target receives 1d6 negative damage, and all other enemies in a 15 feet radius must pass a will saving throw or become frightened. Very useful. Certainly better than your bow. Kineticist level 3. Infusion. An infusion wild talent from the list of options available. Right. Kinetic blast. Right. Stealth, perhaps. Arcana knowledge. Although Arcana is the realm of Wendowag at first. It won't continue to be the realm of Wendowag, but she needs it at first. Right. Weapon focus. And it should be kinetic blast. +1 bonus on all attack rolls you make with the selected weapon. Right. You can get kinetic blade, which is not that useful. Form a weapon using your kinetic abilities. You create a non-reach, light, or one-handed weapon. Your hand formed of pure energy. If that's all we can get, we'll get it, but it's not going to be useful. Unless that only applies to kinetic blade, I'm not sure. I hope not. Wendy. Let me just check that that's giving you what you need for Dragon Disciple. Yes. So now, all you need is knowledge going up. But we're carrying on with Fighter from here. Arcana needs to be up. We'll have you do Perception. Spell focus is irrelevant. Casting is completely irrelevant. Weapon focus. It's a glaive you're using, isn't it? Right. And get another power attack. -1 penalty on all melee attack rolls and combat maneuver check. To gain +2 bonus all melee damage. Bonus damage is increased by half if you're making an attack with a two-handed weapon. Yes. What was her strength is 16. I was right, it is a glaive. Now, Shaman Hunter. You are trickery and stealth. Perception would be good. I'll only give you that. Weapon focus on rapier. I don't think Sealer will be staying with us this long. She's a bit of a goody two-shoes for my liking. Who else is there? Up here is Rebeth. Sealer. Let's see what your background says. Sealer smiles at you warmly. Hey there. During that march through the dungeon, we never got the chance to exchange a proper greeting. It's high time I shake your hand. I'd like to know more about you. Of course, I can ask anything. I'll answer honestly. Tell me about yourself. Where are you from? I'm a little bit from Geb, a little bit from Karapesh, but mostly from the Knights of Amordi. I was accepted and began my training at 14. I belong to their ranks more than I belong to any place. You've come to Mendeb by a long road, haven't you? A very long one. Seela looks at you cheerfully. A traveller is expected to have amusing stories. Unfortunately, I've only 3 tales of any interest. I'd like to save them for our next feast, otherwise I will have nothing to show for myself when it's time to start bragging, and that just won't do. Especially since I'll win tonight with my cautionary tale of a battle with chupacabras. Can't tempt with a story about fighting chupacabras and then not follow through. What are chupacabras, by the way? Incredibly repulsive magical beings, fast and dangerous. They can, well, it looks like someone's fooled me into starting the tale. I guess now I'll have to tell the whole story. Picture a small town in Kadira, and down in the dungeon there's 2 murderers waiting to be executed. The gallows are already built for them. The rope's been bought. But sometimes life takes a surprising turn. Suddenly a paladin of Eomade appears in the doorway and offers a murderer's deal. If they go with her to fight some monsters, they live. If they survive, that is. There's a big difference between imminent death and probable death with a glimmer of hope, wouldn't you say? So here we are, travelling through the desert, me and my friend, a priestess of Serenray, along with the little ratfolk fellow who'd asked for our help, and the 2 cutthroats. We get to the ratfolk village and saw their bodies lying all around, all drained dry. We figured we'd have to fight vampires. That's how the little ratfolk described the monsters who attacked their village. That's why we went in all brazen-like. The sun was high and the vampires couldn't attack until dusk. But we never got a chance to look around. Black shadows, quick as the wind, attacked us from all sides. Not vampires, but chupacabras. One of the lads we pulled from the gallows got killed right away. The second one ran for his life. That left me, the ratfolk, and Kira, the name of the priestess. We all steeled ourselves for the fight of our lives. And just when we thought the end had come, with the chupacabras surrounding me like a pack of dogs around a bear, and our ratfolk friend wounded and down, and the teeth of the quickest of those blasting monsters was clenched on Kira's shoulder. Right then, when all hope was lost, the other lad from the gallows suddenly comes running back. He kills the beast attacking Kira. I'm sure you know what a turning point in a fight looks like. Well, this was that. A moment later, we were lost. A moment before, and we were lost. A moment later, we had it back under control. The chupacabras dropped dead one by one. The little ratfolk is reunited with his family, who are hiding in the basement. The priestess and I closed the eyes of the boy from the gallows who saved us. It was a shame he didn't survive the fight. May the gods keep his soul in its journey through the life. That's a good story. He could have died in disgrace in the gallows, but instead he died a hero. And I'd fancy the sun earned him some points in his final judgment. It's smart to remember our journey doesn't end in death. Had it not been for that mercy, Milos, that was his name, would be hanging from a noose, and me, Kira, and the ratfolk would be dead in that village. But someone told me that a kind deed done by an unkind person is 100 times more precious. By the same token, an evil done by a noble soul is 100 times more horrifying. That's what I really wanted to say. The chupacabras were just a good starting point. What made you become a paladin of Eomade? Dealer's gaze sharpens momentarily, then she sighs. That's a serious question and a good one. You should ask it of your companions. But it's a long story. To start with, 12 years ago, I was nothing like the person I am now. I roamed the streets of Solku with the other homeless orphans. I stole, I fought, I was hired. Sword for a bit. Not the proper origin for a paladin, is it? Back then, Solku was a city of orphans, widows and widowers. Gnolls decimated the city regularly. My parents were among the victims. People there heard about the deaths before they finished mourning their previous losses. One day a group of knights from Eomade brought a glimmer of hope to the city, but while others saw them as saviors and protectors, I was busy pricing up their noble horses and their gleaming mithril armour, wondering just how much one of their pretty swords would fetch. A thief lives one day at a time, that's what they say. I was the type that never thought past the next job. Anyway, I was able to sneak into the knight's camp and steal one of their mithril helms. Seela pauses. Well, maybe not such a goody two-shoes after all. Her voice sad and measured, and I was right there when a gnoll attacked the helm's owner. Asime was her name, and dealt a blow to the unprotected head. A gnoll like all those others who she'd fearlessly driven from the gates of Solku. That one blow was fatal, but who was really to blame for her death? The gnoll attacker, or the young thief named Seela? I know what it takes to survive sometimes. I can't judge you. Well, I can. I believe everyone deserves a chance at redemption, but redemption means you understand what you did. You're willing to be harder on yourself from now on. But you were asking what brought me to the ranks of Iomede's warriors. We all choose the paladin's path for our own reason. Some are guided by nobility of spirit, some by a desire to fight injustice. I became who I am through the penance of a debt paid. The day Asami died, protecting my city, I wanted to kill myself for the terrible guilt I felt. But then I realized it wouldn't make the world any better, and I decided that instead I'd try to take her place. I'd become who she had been, protect the innocents that she would no longer be able to protect. What are the principles that the paladins of Iomedae follow? Seela smiles. I'll tell you. I like to recite our code. It feels like I've said it 1,000 times, but it never gets old. There is strength in these words. After a pause, she begins, her voice slow and meditative. I will learn the weight of my sword. Without my heart to guide it, it is worthless. My strength is not in my sword, but in my heart. If I lose my sword, I have lost a tool. If I betray my heart, I have died. I will have faith in the inheritor. I will channel her strength through my body. I will shine in her legion, and I will not tarnish her glory through base action. I am the first into battle, and the last to leave it. I will not be taken prisoner by my free will. I will not surrender to those under my command. I will not surrender those under my command. I will never abandon a companion. So I will honor sacrifice freely given. I will guard the honor of my fellows, both thought and deed, and I will have faith in them. When in doubt, I may force my enemies to surrender, but I am responsible for their lives. I will never refuse a challenge from an equal. I'll give honor to worthy enemies, and contempt to the rest. I will suffer death before dishonor. I will be temperate in my actions and moderate in my behavior. I will strive to emulate Iomede's perfection. Oh my. What a lot of blather. Thank you. I've learned everything I wanted to know. I hope I didn't bore you. Ask me something else if you like. Erebeth said your friend Janet Aldori is missing. Do you know where we should look for her? Erebeth is worried about her fighters. I understand that. I wanted to look for Janet myself, so I didn't distract you. But since you're in this too, I could use some help. Jana and I met in Canabrys a few days ago and just hit it off. We went drinking together. We went to that unforgettable celebration together too. We got separated in the crowd. So we should start looking in the main square. That's where I last saw her. Seela frowns. Jana's a good fighter, even if she is green. She couldn't have become an Aldori otherwise. I hope that means she's alright. What do you think of what is going on in Canabrys? Friend in need is a friend indeed. It's complete chaos. We're lucky to be able to handle it, right? Seela smiles brightly, then she gives you a worried look. Does the way I talk bother you? I know I can seem blasé. Many good people and our protector Terendlev died here in Canabrys. A paladin of Iomedae is expected to be properly respectful and solemn. But I prefer to face my troubles with a smile and a bit of common sense. Grief is a weapon they'll use against you. It can undermine a warrior's spirit. It's better we hold off on grief until we've driven the last demon and cultist from the city. There's a wisdom in the traditions of mourning, one shouldn't reject them, all the more so if inappropriate merriment could offend other mourners. Many people's loved ones perished in Canabres. Seal aside, you may be right. I should keep myself in check more. Better discipline, more self-control, quality suited to a paladin. Formed a lawful act. Is fighting demons all you want, or are you looking for something more? How about covering myself in glory and becoming the hero of 100 ballads? Or at least a dozen, if they're lively ones. Sealer's eyes shine cheerfully. Anyway, to be more serious, the area around the World Wound is the best place for a paladin who wishes to defend the weak and serve good. Being part of the crusade is reward enough for me, but there's something that worries me. I don't want to sound like I'm criticizing my brothers in arms, but the Eagle Watch and the other orders are focused on just one aim, the war against the World Wound. That's why they can sometimes overlook the smaller things, ordinary misfortunes, you know. I always liked being a wandering knight because any moment I could get up and go help a poor rat folk whose family had been kidnapped, or an old woman whose favourite dog had gone missing. So here's my answer. I don't have some big important goal, but I'll be happy to help those who need it. A little bit here and a little bit there. Thank you for speaking with me. Until next time. Right. Hello. Irabeth. Irabeth rubs the red tired eyes. Any success? How is the city? What is our main objective? You heard what that demon said. They're going to desecrate the wardstone and blow up the whole barrier around the World Wound. That would be an even worse disaster than the World Wound's expansion before the Second Crusade. Not only Canabres, but every city with a wardstone will be destroyed, including the capital. Can't allow that, no matter what. We will retake it, even destroy it if we must. Iomede's gift must not become a weapon for the Abyss. These wardstones, what are they? They are our greatest treasure, shield given to us by Iomede herself, and placed in Canabres and other Mendevian cities and fortresses by her herald. The chain of wardstones forms a protective barrier that stops the expansion of the World Wound and keeps the demons from moving beyond its borders. I shudder to think what will happen if that barrier falls. Allow me to ask a few questions. Frowning a little, Irabeth nods. Please. But I must warn you, there are some things I don't have the right to discuss. Where are you from? I was born in Canabres. I grew up on a farm just outside it. But my way back home lay at the end of a long and winding road. It took me years of travelling through foreign lands before I came to where I've always belonged. How did you become a paladin? A bitter smile appears on the half-orc's face. I don't much like to remember it. Believe it or not, the story of how I became a paladin is also the story how I failed to become a knight. My parents were crusaders, may their souls stand together in Iomede's celestial army. When I was born, they retired from the war and started preparing me to continue their legacy. But my father was an orc. He'd be pressed to find a calmer, wiser and more pious servant of the goddess than he. But still, all his life, he was dogged by sideways looks and whispers. When I grew older, and it was time for me to serve, I decided anywhere but Canabres. That was where my father had served loyally, and his only reward had been injustice. Besides, the witch hunters led by the Honourable Prelate Holrun stalked the city with a heavy hand. Who knows what they'd have done to a strange girl with green skin? Instead, I went to a smirk that looks more like a painful grimace crosses her face. You can laugh if you want. I was young and foolish. I chose Last Wall, of all places. You can imagine how well I was accepted in a country that's been battling the orcs of Belkzen since its foundation. There are many there, like me, but we're all treated as second-class citizens. For the locals, my green skin was worse than leather scabs. Even my brothers in faith kept their distance. I took my vows, and the goddess granted me the powers of a paladin. But even then, not a single order would accept me into their ranks. I spent another 6 months knocking on doors before I realized the simple truth. I serve Iomede, not these people. I don't have to prostrate myself before them. So I left as a paladin, but not a knight. There's no country in this world where gnomes are fully accepted. But that doesn't seem to bother most of you one little bit. Perhaps that's because your true homeland isn't in the world at all. I find it hard to imagine what life's like for your kind. How did you come to join the Knightly Order? I left last wall and went travelling. The goddess guided me and my path led me to where atrocities were happening. I often fought in exchange for gold. But never for unworthy aims, of course. I wandered the river kingdoms for a few years, killing monsters and tracking down criminals. Sometimes I thought I was just wasting time, that my true place was in Canabres. But I pushed those thoughts away. I didn't even want to think about going back. But in the end, divine providence has brought me to my senses. It happened in Timon. I was tracking down a gang of bandits, which your employer suspected was a cover for Razmiran spies. I managed to find their lair, but inside I found something far more dangerous than spies, an unholy temple of Zunkathon. When I broke in there, the cultists were about to sacrifice someone, a person who was destined to become my wife, Anivia. That's another story. After I cut down the cultists, I examined their papers and couldn't believe my eyes. A network of evil cults had spread all across Arbistan, including Mendev. Worse, the documents clearly showed that their allies, the Templars of the Ivory Labyrinth, had infested my native Canabres, or even among the ranks of the Paladin. After that, delaying my homecoming be tantamount to desertion. Luckily, I was no longer alone, and Evia was as eager to destroy the cultists as I was. Anivia and I hurried to Canabres. We couldn't trust anyone. The papers indicated that the cultists had infiltrated everything. Luckily, I had some experience in the investigation, and my beloved... The orc smiles warmly. She knew her way around working locks, tailing people, and trading information with the city's bottom feeders. Soon we'd defeated. Last, not the whole Hydra, but a few of its heads. Do you know who turned out to be the leader of the cultists? The commander of the Eagle Watch. Can you imagine? While Prelate Hulrun was chasing witches through the city, the enemy had infiltrated the very order responsible for internal security. The scandal reached the ears of the Queen. At first, she planned to disband the order in disgrace. But then she offered its command to me, put its salvation in my hands. Of course, there was one small catch. I wasn't a knight. But I was made commander just the same, skipping the usual progress through the ranks. I can't imagine the followers of Zunkathon in alliance with demon worshippers. Shouldn't they hate each other? They should, but Baphomet's minions are masters of deception. They manipulate Zunkathon's butchers as eagerly as Iomede's knights. The cultists from that unholy temple didn't know the true face of their associates in Canabres. We ourselves learned the truth much later, after getting to the bottom of their nest. How did the people of Canabres feel about your background? They tolerated it surprisingly well. I shouldn't have been so wary. Crusaders don't tend to be prejudiced as a rule. After all, heroes from all over the world, even from other continents, come here to fight the demons. Apparently, people were only suspicious of full-blooded orcs. There are already many more like me here, and we don't have any problems. Though the locals do have their superstitions, Mendev is as merciless as Last Wall. They just have a different set of victims. I kept seeing those same sideways looks and scowls, hearing the familiar whispers. Where once they used to whisper behind my back and point at me, now they whisper in my ear and point at someone else. It's so strange to be on the other side of humiliation, to wipe the spit from your face and suddenly be invited to change position and spit at someone else. You must have figured out by now that I'm talking about tieflings. It's true there are many of them among the cultists and very few of our crusaders, and our fighters do all they can to drive away those who would be our allies. People shun them, call them Arilu's spawn, or worse, and if they choose to be born like that, I believe it's quite a feat to rise against the call of one's blood and join the forces of good. Still, most only see them as the enemy. I once saw a knight bleeding to death because he wouldn't let a tiefling priest touch his wound. Alas, I haven't been able to change this in all my time in Canabris. Tell me about Anivia. We met in Timon as I was wandering aimlessly from one ordeal to another. We returned to Canabris together to expose the Templars of the Ivy Labyrinth. The day the Queen knighted me was the second happiest of my life. The first was the day of our wedding. But Anivia isn't just my beloved, she's my staunchest ally. We shared every victory and defeat. The best of me is alive thanks to her. Thank you for saving her back then, the day Canabris fell. Before her return, the only thing giving me the strength to protect the Defender's heart was the hope I'd see her again. We are in your debt. Thank you for your answers. Tell me about the Eagle Watch. It was a small order created to fight not only demons but also the enemy within, to maintain the purity of the paladin ranks, prevent heresy and identify spies. And it failed miserably at that. The Templars of the Ivy Labyrinth infiltrated it and formed their nests within its ranks. After the Queen entrusted me with leading the order, Anivia and I practically built it from scratch. We got rid of dead weight, people who weren't committed. We organised ways to transmit messengers and orders safely. We introduced reliable ciphers. We found tacit allies around the city, from Crusader orders to street beggars. This was my personal crusade to purge the city of the Templars who had infested it. And I thought I was winning, and I could feel it. We were so close to driving the cultists out of Canabris. But Narabeth frowns. It's hard to admit, but those successes didn't count for much once the demons entered the city. On the contrary, if it wasn't for you, there wouldn't be a headquarters at the Defender's Heart. The cultists would have served up the city on a platter to the demons. The lines of her best forehead soften. Yes, that's true. It's a good thing we achieved something. Thank you. I have to go. Go. May I one day keep you alive. We have Hylor. A tall, athletic man. Greets you. His hair is prematurely grey and shorn close to his head in a military style. He is lean and well-groomed, and a monocle twinkles coldly in his eye. The bold set of his jaw and his large but agile frame attest that here is a man who is always ready to be on the move. Greetings, I am Hylor, bench captain of the Pathfinder Society. I am the superior officer among Pathfinders in this region of Mendev. However, the Society is running almost no operations here right now. Besides me, there are almost no Pathfinders here. Actually, I'm only stuck here because I'm of an old feud with a demon worshipper known as the Spinner of Nightmares. I've had to work alone without the support of the Society, but I've made a lot of acquaintances among the local mercenaries and daring fighters. If you need any good fighters for an honest cause, talk to me. Tell me about your confrontation with the Spinner of Nightmares. It all began with a task for the Pathfinder Society. I arrived in Erusian with my team to investigate the sudden death of a famous crusader, Baron Falron. We soon focused in on a small hospital, the Wealthy, where Falron was being treated shortly before his death. It turned out that a gang of Baphomet's cultists, calling themselves the Labyrinth of Mind, had gotten a foothold at the hospital. They were obsessed with twisting the minds of their victims and targeted fragile people too weak to resist. The hospital was filled with perfect victims, isolated for weeks from the outside world, completely helpless. And when they returned, they were different, almost normal. But the moment they heard a certain phrase, something dark awoke in their mind. They transformed into servants of Baphomet, ready to lie, betray, and even kill. The Labyrinth of Mind was preparing to infiltrate the all-elite circles within Mendev, but Baron Falron stopped them. He was too loyal to his oath and too resistant to their spells. He fought for his freedom, until the strain broke his heart. We opened and cleaned the city of Baphomet's pit of vipers. Their den was a cradle of sin and filth. They cast spells on each other, and their loathsome fancies stepped real from their minds into the world. They dreamt horrible and forbidden things. They fought like mad. We burned the place to the ground and slaughtered everyone we could. But the leaders of the cult were able to flee. They were set upon revenge. They abducted my daughter, Laurie, who served under my command in the Pathfinder Society. They left me a note of tart insults, mockery, and sneers. From that note, I learned the name of my enemy, Spinner of Nightmares. A few months ago, I confirmed that she was the leader of the Labyrinth of Mind. My hunt had begun. I would get Laurie back at any cost. Milo grits his teeth with bulldog determination. I want to know more about you. What exactly are you interested in? I'm a common Pathfinder, and many others like me. Fate and my orders brought me to this land. How did you end up here? I was working on an assignment for the Pathfinder Society, and then a demon worshipper named the Spinner of Nightmares abducted my daughter, Laurie. For the past 3 years, I've been trying to save her. During this time, I've become a specialist, scouting demon territory. I've even planted agents among the cultists. Truth be told, I'm in pursuing the Spinner of Nightmares. I've been acting more on behalf of the Queen Gelfrey than the Pathfinder Society. Long story. Maybe I'll tell you the rest of it sometime. Milo frowns grimly. This Spinner of Nightmares is a true spawn of the Abyss. I've fought her many times, and I've never been able to seize her by the throat. Tell me about your daughter. Milo smiles, showing his healthy white teeth. As a girl, Laurie was just an angel. We lost her mother early on, and she was left to follow my example. A drifter with little idea how to talk to a 10-year-old girl. But even with each questionable parenting, Laurie managed to grow into a wonderful girl. Brave, smart, beautiful, entirely unbearable. Always argued with me about everything. When Laurie was 18 and told me she was going to be a Pathfinder, all I said was, all right. I knew there was no use to try and talk her out of it, and she was a fine Pathfinder. Malo's fists clenched with a painful-sounding crack. I'll never forgive the Spinner of Nightmares for taking my girl from me. Tell me about the Pathfinder Society. The Pathfinder Society is a global organization that unites opportunists and adventurers of all kinds. We explore the world and uncover its secrets, travel, and sometimes face down threats. In times of trouble, the latter becomes our primary focus. We're driven by curiosity and the desire to make the world a better place, and of course, some seek profit or hunger for glory. But in any case, they might send you anywhere on a mission. Weaklings have little place in the society. It's more for seasoned fighters. There are society lodges in many cities. The closest one is in Erosian. They're each led by venture captains, lads like me. The Grand Lodge is in Absalom, centre of the world. The Decemvirate sits there, the anonymous council of our leaders. I have no more question. I have to go. Good luck, watch your back. Only trust your closest friends. The enemy is cunning and treacherous. And now we are through here, it seems. Survivor, peasant, noble, citizen. Ah. A named person. On Autumn Haze. A tall, fragile-looking elf sits in front of you, eyes closed. He is pale as a ghost, his arm wrapped in a blood-stained bandage. You spot other bandages on his body under his clothes, but even in such a miserable state, he manages to keep calm. Raising his eyes to meet yours, he says faintly, I am Fawn Autumn Haze at your service. His pale lips are reddened by blood, but you see no signs of pain or fear in his grey eyes. You need help? After giving you a cold, intense look, he shakes his head. Do not trouble yourself on my behalf. A local healer tended me. Besides, I come from a resilient, hardy people. My body will endure both the wounds and the poison delivered through them. Who are you? My name is Fawn Autumn Haze. I've come to Keonin because I am a hunter, and all minions of evil are my quarry. I won't say more than that if you don't mind. We are strangers and of different races and cultures. I'd rather not tell you more than is necessary. Who wounded you? A sinner and accomplice to the demons, the quarry I am hunting in this inhospitable place. I'm Noir. You can trust me. I might be able to help you. After a brief pause, Fawn says it would be impolite to refuse a direct and friendly offer. Who is your quarry here in Mendev? I was hunting a fugitive, a Descarite by the name of Kaelessa. It pains me to admit that there are heinous malefactors, such as her, among my noble kind. I managed to catch up to her in Canabres, and I wounded her. The demons appeared in the city and engulfed in flames. I was injured in battle that ensued, and couldn't free her soul from its service to the Dark Masters. He expresses no anger or hatred as he speaks, only compassionate sorrow. Sorry for your misfortune. I hope things will turn out differently next time. He pursed his lips. No need for pity. Our ancient kind is blessed with great longevity. We gain a deeper understanding of the world than other races, and we learn our lessons better than anyone. That goes for learning from our mistakes as well. I survived, which means I will be more prepared when we meet again. I wish to aid you in your hunt. Fawn covers his eyes wearily. I thank you. This is my mission, and I'm used to facing all manner of terrors on my own. I do appreciate your willingness to help. If you happen to meet Kaelessa, take caution. She has turned many innocent souls to the path of evil, and darkness has rewarded her with many gifts. Her appearance alone will tell you that it is warped. The agate skin, the malicious stare of her blood-red eyes, the bestial teeth. She is more monster than elf at this point. What does Kaelessa look like again? Oh, failed. Her skin is dark, her hair preternaturally white. Her red eyes can see perfectly in the dark, which is, to my dismay, I've come to know from experience. But bright light causes her kind pain. I used an alchemical powder that explodes in a dazzling flash, and she cried out as if I stabbed her. It's clear that this woman is a faithful servant of darkness. The marks of Kaelessa's masters have left her appearance. Say as much. I'd like to know more about you. I won't hold anything back. Not who I am, why I made my way here. Oh, you've changed your tune, haven't you? Tell me more about yourself. Other people tend to believe that identity is the sum of a person's actions and the events that happen to them. For them, I am one of a long line of warriors of Kyonin, who, since his youth, has dedicated himself to hunting evil and injustice. For them, I am a successful and capable huntsman, who has tracked down and slain a great many monsters. But I am an elf, and for me, my identity has a different meaning. It is shaped by the place where I was born and that I love so deeply. I am shaped by what I find beautiful and what makes my heart quicken. By the fears that come to me in the dead of night. By the things I find so intolerable that the sight of them, my very core darkens and fills with poison. Thus, to tell you who I am, I would require many days and much candour, which is more than you and I have at our disposal. Why did you choose to become a hunter of evil? Because I am the son of a noble and proud nation. We are sometimes criticised for our arrogance, but no one dares doubt our honour. When a crime is committed, we cannot turn a blind eye. We were apt to abandon our obligation to oppose evil. If we were to surrender this obligation to other races, we would also relinquish our preeminence. Remind me, well, you've told me that already. Refresh my memory about Kaelessa. I have no more questions. I have to go. And we will go downstairs, since that's also in the same building. Delvin. Render thy soul, Delvin. Oh my. Eomedae, protect us. Ah, got you again. How many times is that today? Take your jokes and shove 'em, tiefling. Whoa, easy there, Chief. Don't hit me. Go ahead, don't take too long, though. Ah, I see. I see things.
Hey, Chief! Ooh, hey, gorgeous. Come over here. I want to talk to you about something. Something really important.
The young tiefling sits cross-legged on the floor. He looks relatively calm for someone in shackles, but his tail whips back and forth in agitation. Noticing your attention, the tiefling sits up and beckons you over.
Quit bothering the decent people in here, Woljif, or I'll knock your teeth out!
What's it to you, Delvin Dum-Dum? You were told to guard me, and I'm not stopping you. But no one told me I had to shut my trap.
Who are you?
Woljif, Woljif Jefto. I deal in useful things. I can get you whatever you want. Anything. But there's just one problem.
And Tiefling rattles his chains and gives you a meaningful look. What do you want from me?
I'll lay it out for you. Simple job, 30 minutes tops. We go someplace, talk to someone, and in return, whatever you want, I'll get it for you. Some extra rations? No problem. Armor, weapons, scrolls, you name it. It's as good as yours. If you need my help with something, whistle and I'll be there. I'm handy enough with knives too, and even my magic know-how isn't too shabby.
What a load of guff! If you were good at magic, you wouldn't be stuck in here now, would you?
Don't you listen to him, Chief. He'd find fault with the Queen herself. I'll be useful to have in battle, and I'll sell whatever you want at a reasonable price. It's your lucky day. You won't meet another gem like me in Canabras.
I can't help you while you're chained up. How can I free you?
That's easy. You know Irabeth? Feisty-looking gal, always wears armor. You can't miss her. She's the meanest fighter in the whole city. When you see her, put in a good word for me, will ya? Tell her there's this guy, Woljif, locked up for no good reason in the Defender's Heart. Well, for the follies of his youth. And he really wants to get out on bail so he can keep up his good behavior and make a contribution to society. You got that? Will you do it?
Alright, I'll talk to Beth about your situation.
I knew I could count on you. Knew it the moment I laid eyes on you.
Why are you in chains, though?
Does it really matter? Don't get hung up on the past, Chief. Don't look to the future. Live in the here and now.
He was caught thieving.
Your shadow, what was that?
Get me out of here and I'll tell you. And don't worry, it's not
The
contagious.
tiefling grins and laughs. We'll talk later. I see loot. I see potentially useful thing. And probably junk I can just get rid of as well. Alright, Beth, let's talk about Woljif, shall we? Beth rubs her red and tired eyes. Any success? How is the city? There's a tiefling chief chained up in the Defender's Heart. What can you tell me about him? Beth shrugs scornfully. Woljif is a petty thief from a gang of thieflings operating in Canabres. That's what we call them in these parts. They tried to rob a vendor of magical items recently. Unfortunately, we apprehended only one of them. The rest managed to escape. We have nowhere else to keep him apart from the Defender's Heart. But that's hardly our prison. Woljif knows it too. He's begging us for days to let him go free or have someone vouch for him. He's already asked you to put in a good word for him, hasn't he? Erebeth squints at you thoughtfully and then shrugs. If you want to recruit Woljif and put him to good use, go ahead and take him off our guard's hands. We can ill afford to let a soldier spend their days watching over a middling thief. I hope the tiefling proves useful, should you decide to take him along. Go. It looks like we've gained a new follower.
Well, Chief, what do you got for me?
I talked to her about it. I've decided to make you part of my troop. We'll see how it goes.
Ha! You must be a smooth talker. Come on, Delvin. Get these bracelets of yours off me. I'm going free.
You're sure to regret this. This tiefling will fleece you for everything you've got. Mark my words.
You're a bitter little man, Delvin. Petty and mean. You can't even be happy for me, can ya? I pity you. I'll leave you alone with your sad little soul. So long. And now, Chief, straight down to business. You see, I'm one of those guys that people around here call thieflings. We just call ourselves the family. After we knocked over that shop and I got stuck here in the Defender's Heart, a little bird told me that Big Sister Charisme wanted to see me. That she had some questions to ask me. You following? Now, she won't be asking me questions like, Woljif, how'd you manage to get out of this one? Or, Woljif, you're so thin, didn't they feed you? No, something serious has gone down, and I just know they want to try to pin something on me. I can feel it in my tail. So, I knew right away that I couldn't go alone. You turned up just in time, Chief. You don't need to do anything when we get there. Just stand behind me and look mean, and I'll handle the rest. Somehow. Let's go, I'll show you the way.
All right. And to finish off, let's just find his tail. Woljif gives you a friendly wave. Hey, Chief, want to talk? I want to know more about you. How much is more? Are your family tieflings too? My family... It's an interesting story, actually. But I don't tell it to just anyone. My father and mother had a bakery. Their life was great, but the gods never blessed them with any children. One day, my mother went to the river to wash some clothes and saw a basket floating downstream. Inside the basket was a baby, adorable and chubby and fast asleep. It was yours truly. In my hand was a note spritzed with expensive perfume that said, "Take care of our little angel." My mother brought me home, and she and my father realized right away that I was heaven sent. They raised me as their own. When I turned 15, my mother showed me my baby blanket. It was embroidered with a coat of arms of an unknown kingdom, all in gold thread. Ever since then, I've been looking for my real parents. But it's not easy. Traveling takes money, so you have a few gold coins. I'll pay you back as soon as I find my real family. I give you my word. That doesn't sound very believable, Woljif. Seriously? Usually everyone just believes everything I say. People love stories like that, you know. A cute baby, a basket, a blanket. What's not to love? They look at me differently, as if I'm worth more, just because of the sheets I spit upon might have had a fancy coat of arms on them. Woljif laughs bitterly. If I was really a prince, I wouldn't be sitting around here, I can tell you that much. I'd have already gone to take what was rightfully mine. Then I'd be back with an army, so I could watch the guards and merchants who pushed me around all my life bow and scrape before me. That's just not going to happen. Want to hear the real story? The true story is boring. My family is human, both my father and my mother. They used to live in a village nearby, I forget the name. When my ma had me, my old man got so mad he almost killed her. Pinned her to the wall and started asking questions like why his son had horns and a tail. Well, my ma told him that my grandmother, used to fool around with a demon. He heard this daddy dearest, got drunk, trashed the house and then took off. I don't remember any of this, of course, my grandma told me. I was about 3 years old when my mother brought me to Canabres and left me with my grandmother. She said to her, "You and your demon have ruined my life. Now you handle him." Left. I haven't seen her or my dad since. She did leave a blanket though, that part was true, but my grandma burned it because it was infested with lice. It was even good enough to use as a rag. You think after all that my grandmother saw the light and rightly felt ashamed and kissed my horns? Wish. Woljif grins nastily, his yellow eyes flashing. People used to give her trouble for fooling around with a demon. She wasn't welcome anywhere, so she got angry. Normal kids get bedtime stories, see, but the only tales I got were how my dad was worthless, my ma was a slut, and I was demon spawn that no one cared about. She only kept me so I could be around so I could help around the house and steal things she needed. So that's the truth. And now the real story of your family? The true story is boring. My family is... We've already seen this. So I guess that is the truth. How did you become a thiefling? Roger grins happily. I already was a tiefling, and my life made me a thief. I've been in this business since I was a kid. My grandma used to say, if you don't work, you don't eat. And she gave me as an apprentice to Yiga, a tiefling neighbour of ours. He was a cunning old geese. He knew how to take a purse off someone's belt, how to cut open bags undetected, even do some magic. I used to climb through the basement windows and open doors from inside while I was still small enough. When I grew and stopped fitting through windows, I decided I was done with my education. I repaid my mother and my grandma for everything she'd done for me. With absolutely nothing. Why would I feed her if she wasn't bringing me any money? You don't work, you don't eat, so I took off. I got bored with my teacher too, but when I as much as hinted at leaving, he said I owed him for my education, so I just nodded, and then I joined the Owlbears, the gang that ran our district, and then I told them that Ego was working their territory. I don't know what happened to him, but I stayed with the Owlbears. Then their leader started giving me the cold shoulder. I did steal from him, but never that much. So I had to rat them out to the guards. Then I joined the Golden Hands. That was a good time for rich pickings. I would have stayed with the Golden Hands, but the Northmen promised me a bigger cut if I told them where the Golden Hands kept their loot. I'm no fool, of course, so I told them. After that, I only had one option, to join the Northmen. And then the family came. At first, no one took them seriously, calling them tieflings and all that. But I felt it right away. They had power behind them. They had more money. I'm always on the winner's side, Chief. That's why I joined the tieflings. And right on time, some thugs came from the capital and made the Northmen leave. The ones who survived are in the family now, too. Tell me about the tiefling. Alright, I won't tell you everything, mind, but I can tell you a little. Tieflings are Mendevian thieves. The gang was started in Mendev's capital by someone or other, and soon after they'd spread all over Galarian. They're also called the family. You know why? Because those tieflings are easy to spot. Wherever we go, guards always hassle us asking, are you lost or something at Hornhead? So you just say we're visiting family. And if they say, oh yeah, who? You give them the name of a local tiefling who confirms everything, even if he's never seen you in his life. That's why we're all brothers and sisters. There are rules. Who does what, who gets what cut. I won't say it's a lot. They make it worth your while. They'll even heal you if you take an arrow to the knee. But the biggest no is this. You don't steal from the family. You don't contribute to the shared pot, you'll get your cold shoulder. You won't be treated like family no more. And then everyone will hear that you went to visit some relatives who have a farm someplace. My best guess? The farm is in some underground well beneath Canabris where they breed grave worms. Sister Charisme, our boss, looked the other way more often. I'd really be able to spread my wings. Nobody should live under constant threat of punishment. You could kill Charisme and take her place. Woljif laughs. Now there's an idea. Nice try, Chief, but I'm no killer. Never have been, and the assassins are expensive. You know, they bumped up the prices last year. I asked a friend of mine why he charged so much, and he says to me, I've learned to see the true value of my work. I read in a book that whatever you think you're worth, that's what you learn. Believe it, I didn't even know that the mug could read. So I can't just have Charisma taken care of. It's too much trouble, and no one will like it. People respect her mean as she is. What do you think of Canabres? It used to be such a hole, then crusaders and refugees came here, and things started looking up. Although it depends who you ask, I suppose. Witches better stay clear of here, because Iomede's followers are ferocious. Especially Holrun Shapok, the local inquisitor. He's a tough old goat. I didn't see it myself, but a serving girl at the tavern told me that her second cousin's son from his third wife is a paladin, and said he said that Holrun takes an unsheathed sword with him, even to the privy. And when he sleeps, he puts it on the pillow next to him. And when he's in his cups, he strokes the blade and whispers sweetly to it. You are my one true friend. You are the only one I can rely on. Irabeth's given us a hard time too. As much as look at some nice bauble, and before you can think of taking it, before your fingers even twitch, she's coming for you with her nostrils flaring and her fangs glinting. Scary woman. But even she's better than Sister Charisme, our boss here in Canabres. By our, I mean the Thiefling's boss. If you get caught by Irabeth, it's all out in the open. You go to prison or you end up as worm food. But if you step on Charisme's toes, oof, you're gone. Just like that. No one ever sees you again. All you hear is he went to visit the family farm. Even though he's never had a family. Or a farm. You have demon blood in you. Do you feel drawn to the abyss? Waldjif's tail whips back and forth nervously, raising a cloud of dust. Why are you an inquisitor or something? What's it to you? If I've wronged you somehow, just come out and say it. Don't ask me trick questions. I know how it happens. I used to know a fella. He was married to the sister of a guard. Some shady types got him drunk one night and started asking him suspicious questions about the gods, about the queen. So he wakes up hungover with a headache. Someone's mumbling something, it smells like smoke, and his feet are kinda hot. He looks down and there's a fire under him. Redlet is reading out his sentence. Your shadow looks strange. What kind of magic is that? Ladies and gentlemen, roll up, roll up. No dark magic, no fraud, a trick without deception. Waldjif snaps his fingers and the blue flame engulfs him. The shadow that was previously lying calmly at his feet grows, floating in the air behind him. It is the shadow of a huge, horned, winged demon with claws. Ta-da! It doesn't do anything, it just looks scary. I remember when I was little, an old beggar showed me, my friends, how to make proper shadow puppets. You put your fingers together in front of a light and it makes the shadow of a deer or a dog or a dove on the wall. I tried so hard, I wanted to make the best shadow, and I did. It just happened. Waldjif chuckles sadly. Funnily enough, that's the last time I had any real friends. They tried to stone me later, screaming at me, calling me a demon. A tiefling is always a demon to these wimps. Even the lowest ranking drunk gnome thinks he's better than me. You might want to watch what you're calling gnomes, Waldjif. Just because he hasn't got horns or a tail. The poorest beggar in the filthiest gutter thinks he's better than me. Most people would never show their shadow again after that first time. I don't care. If stones start flying again, I'll just run. I'm used to it by now. That's not the strangest thing I've seen. Oh well. And there I was thinking I'd impress you. Waldjif sighs, his tail drops, and the shadow and blue fire disappear. Thanks for not dragging me in front of paladins. They already know me. I've been brought to them before. I remember the paladins all standing around and looking inside me for traces of evil. They couldn't find any, so they let me go. Enough, I want to ask about something else. I have to go. Talk to you later. Waldjif shrugs. Whatever, you're free to do as you please. And then we head outside. Someone's there. Goran Vane. A grizzled dwarf turns a blade in his calloused hands, carefully inspecting its edge. When he sees you approach, he sets the blade aside and greets you with a nod. New face in the city. You picked a good time to come to Canabres. As you can see, we're in sore need of warriors. You know everyone in Canabres by sight? Well, not everyone. But I make it my business to know the people who might need my services. Blacksmith's work isn't just at the anvil, you know. Here's Dalton Vane's brother. Yep, where he goes, I go. That's how I've always been, even before the world wound. I forge the armor, he goes into battle and breaks it. Brings it back to me and I repair it and make it better than before. Everything's changed since then, of course, but that part has stayed the same. How was Daunton to blame for the fall of Dresden? I've told this story so many times already. Well, telling it one more time won't kill me. The blacksmith sighs. Dresden was built after the First Crusade, back when it seemed like victory was ours at the taking, and the demon invasion would soon be at an end. The population of all Sarkoris was thoroughly diminished. Many of them hoped to see their hard fighting repaid with a small plot of unclaimed land. Dresden, fortress built on all our hopes, and on Mendev's ambitions. Though you're not supposed to say that out loud. What a city it was, Noir. You can't even imagine. It was built by the finest engineers from the Five Kings Mountains. Being Galfrey spared no expense. Dresden was meant to be the capital of the Crusade movement, a monument to its glory and beacon of hope for all Galarian. Heroes were drawn there to seek fame and glory, and they came from all over. Talda, Garand, Tianzia. I didn't list them all. A relic known as the Sword of Valor was kept there, the banner that had been carried into battle by Amadea herself, back when she was still human. That banner protected the city and kept the demons from teleporting inside its walls. As long as the banner was in place, Dresden was invincible, or so we thought. But then the world wound suddenly expanded. The demons launched a new onslaught, and folks started saying it was time to declare the Second Crusade. Dresden was unassailable, until one young, fine officer was tempted by a beautiful woman. She convinced him that the banner shouldn't be hanging on the city, that its rightful place was on the battlefield. She whispered honeyed words about glory and valor and convinced him that he could be a hero, great to say Amadea herself. The poor fellow believed her. He rounded up some of his hot-headed friends and carried the banner outside the city gates on an unauthorized foray. The demons slaughtered them within seconds. But for some reason, the courageous ringleader was spared. A whole army teleported into Dresden. It was a bloodbath. Joran solemnly shakes his head. As you can guess, that officer was called Staunton Vane, and the woman turned out to be a demon. Not just any demon, it was Manago, that foul wretch. He's given us a lot of grief here in Canabres too. Just don't ask me what I was doing while my brother was off having tryst with that beast. And why I didn't save him from his own stupidity. The blacksmith gestures as if to ward off the inevitable reprobation. Who could have guessed it would end like this? I failed my brother, that's the truth. I blame myself every day, looking at his plight, so that's the story. Why do you have your forge here in the tavern yard? Wherever I am, that's where my forge is. A true master of any craft will always find the tools they need. I miss my old forge, of course. It's now just a pile of charred stones and metal. But I've still got my hands, and that means I can work. Joe Radiance of Joran, do you recognize the sword? Do I recognize it? Of course I do. I made this with my own hands. That's my brand, see? Dwarf carefully takes the sword in his hands, gazing at it like a doting father. Oh, Yanni, all things have been tough without you. But at least we've still got your sword, that's something. Joran turns the sword to you. In battle, ordinary swords get blunted, they break. But sometimes a weapon can persevere. I don't even know how to explain it. I'm no authority on these things, but something like an echo of the deeds done with that weapon. Or more like the reflection of the wielder's soul, I don't know. And we'll say one thing, take care of that sword. Daniel may no longer be with us, but the demons will still remember why they needed to turn tail and run when they see Radiance. Ugh, the scabbard's all worn. We can't be having a fine sword like this being carried around in this tatty thing. I'll make you a new one if you like. City stands strong, we both survived. Come see me again and I'll have it ready. Yeah. Show me your wares. Masterwork. Dagger. Okata bastard. Everything else is just masterwork. Nothing we really need right there. I was wondering if there was anything to replace the rapier with. Something better. We don't need those. Don't need that. Oh. And with that, and having read for an hour and a half, almost non-stop, I think I will be taking a rest. I hope you enjoyed the tales from the Tavern's Heart, the Defender's Heart. There are links around to other gameplays on the channel if you wish to see what else we're doing. There's a like and a subscribe if you wish to help us grow, that'd be a great thing to do for us. And there's a comment section, which if you write there, I shall respond. I've been Yorkie the Tail Spinner, the Chihuahua's been all over the place, and you have been wonderful. I shall see you next time, my friends.